Adulthood is like looking both ways before you cross the street and then getting hit by an airplane, which makes the process of adulthood sounds kind of like brutal and bad. But for you, what does being an adult, Kak Amy?
Welcome to Arif Cafe, where you can sit down, relax, while we serve you with the tea of the day.
Kina, do you realize that we're already 22?
Shan, can you not mention that? I feel so old.
I know. Kadang-kadang sakit belakang, jalan-jalan tiba-tiba cemuncungap, nak baca tiba-tiba rabun, lepas tu baru 10 dah ngantuk. Hai, rasa macam dah
Shan.
tu.
Okay, the thing is, adulthood, dia bukan ada con dia tau. Okay, ada pros dia juga. Well, my fellow listeners, as you can guess today, the topic of our episode is adulthood. So, before we get into the topic, Assalamualaikum and welcome to the fourth episode of Arif Cafe. Today we have with us is our guest yang berkaliber, famous di kalangan orang-orang staff ni, Kak Emilia, okay?
Hi guys, hello.
Okay, Kak can you introduce yourself a little bit to us and the audience today?
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Emilia Hanis Ahmad Nizar. People call me Emi. So I'm 31. So all those symptoms Shan cakap, sakit belakang, tidur awal dan sebagainya tu is more applicable to me than you guys. I'm a software quality engineer in a software engineering company in France. I've been in France for, I think, like more than 11 years, with breaks in between. Asal Puchong, Selangor. And my background is in mechanical engineering. I did my degree and master's in mechanical engineering. And I think, well, that's it. Unless you guys have any other questions for me.
I think that's perfect, Kak Amy. Okay, to get to know Kak Amy better today, I have this quote that we found on the internet that says, adulthood is like looking both ways before you cross the street and then getting hit by an airplane, which makes the process of adulthood sounds kind of like brutal and bad. But for you, what does being an adult, Kak Amy? What do you think?
Well, first of all, I've never heard of that quote. This is my first time hearing it from Shan. So I don't know why it sounds that scary. Well, adulthood is scary. I mean, I guess when I was 22 years old, maybe because I'm not mature enough, I don't really think about being an adult actually, because it's a process that you just go through, right?
Betul.
So, kan macam tiba-tiba je dah 18 tahun, tiba-tiba je 19 tahun, tiba-tiba je dah 20, tiba-tiba je dah kat France, kena uruskan rumah sendiri dan sebagainya kan. So it's like just like this process that you just go through, right? But okay, so to put things into context, I think it's worth mentioning the different perspective lah on adulthood, because being an adult dia ada banyak macam mana nak kata
banyak face.
Banyak face. Okay, banyak face is one thing, but the thing is, like, you also have like different systems that define adulthood. Like for example, you have the legal perspective, right? So
betul?
Kan, what is the definition of what is the adult legal definition, kan? So selalunya memang most of the countries it's macam when somebody is considered as an adult when they reach age of majority lah, kan?
True.
This is where you get like your full legal rights, like the right to vote, macam the consent to marriage, right? Macam-macam benda lah. So macam you have you have responsibilities, like you can do like contractual obligations, you boleh buy alcohols, you know, like things like that. That is one thing, but there's also like, I think, a psychological perspective to adulthood, in which you ada macam okay, how do you your ability to be flexible, kan, to adapt to the changes in your environment. So I think yang selalu kita rasa susah tu is because we don't really know the psychological aspect, because you are also learning about yourself, kan, searching for yourself. So and then at the same time you are entering into this new territory in which you are not trained for, betul tak?
Betul.
Siapa yang
Exactly.
kan? Is there anybody here who can tell me yang macam bila you membesar tu, you pergi sekolah tu, ada orang yang ajar how to be an adult, how to manage your emotion,
No.
how to macam all this stuff which is
Yeah.
life skills doesn't get teach in school, betul tak?
Exactly.
So benda-benda macam tu lah. So for me, like okay, you have this different perspective, and in my own definition of adulthood, for me it's taking responsibilities and facing challenges in an environment in which you no longer have a safety net, because previously
True.
kan, your safety
Yes,
net is your
everything felt
parents.
so easy.
Your safety net is parents. Even if you mess up, it doesn't matter because you always have somebody to fall back to.
Betul.
But when you reach a legal age, and then you have those responsibilities, and maybe some of you are lucky enough still ada parents to fall back to. But for those yang tak ada, even if they tak reach that legal age, I mean like for example orphans, sebenarnya dia tak reach legal age lagi, tapi
Dia dah tak ada
of course
safety net tu.
maybe they ada guardian or people like that who will take care of them lah, but still macam siapa yang betul-betul bagi the safety net tu. Yes.
Faham?
That's
The definition of adulthood untuk Am is responsibility lah.
Yes, responsibility. Actually, responsibility.
Totally agree. I totally agree.
like I like how you said yang kita kena get out of comfort zone kan. Because like what you say, when we have parents, like back in MFI, I don't really feel like I was still an adult walaupun dah masuk
balik
like,
rumah. Okay,
Hey.
balik rumah. Saya duduk dekat Sarawak. So saya tak boleh balik rumah.
betul lah.
So
Tapi
you have like different exposures kan.
Dengki.
Tak,
So
saya
like,
dia nak cakap kenapa Shan tak ajak dia balik rumah sekali.
tak pernah ajak
dia. Tak. Dia dah hujung minggu tu dah menghilang ke Uniqlo.
Okay.
Okay, so I feel like we really kena lah, because mention responsibility kan. Bila datang sini, when we were like thrown into Famidaka kan, everything kena buat sendiri, rasa susahnya adulthood. Macam balik-balik kena call, kena buat ni, kena buat payment. So macam it totally relates lah when you say macam you have to get out of your comfort zone kan, and then you have to take that responsibility.
Which is actually kita agak bertuah lah, because when you guys are studying overseas, you get to be kicked earlier than people who are in Malaysia. Betul tak? So macam you nak, even if you nak minta macam your parents for help or anything, you always think like ni common sense lah. I don't know if it works for everyone, but I think it's quite common sense that you feel even if you ask your parents to help you, they are too far to help you. So macam kan, and then macam kenapa you nak induce that anxiety or bagi diorang risau for things yang diorang tak boleh nak tolong pun kan.
True.
So dia jadi macam this mindset shift to be more responsible and trying to figure things out without the help of your parents. So I think it's actually a privilege, but at the same time sebenarnya it's something yang kalau kita tengok balik tadi, the legal age kan, the legal age is actually 18 in most countries, even for Malaysia kan. Sebenarnya memang sepatutnya begitu pun, because kita punya age bila kita fly is the average is
20,
ada yang
19, 20
17, 18, 19, 20 kan. Dah memang sepatutnya pun kan. Cuma kita yang sebenarnya lambat lah. Kalau macam you 20 baru rasa tu, you sebenarnya quite lambat lah berbanding dengan the legal age set by the country.
True.
Okay. Kak Ahmad mention legal age So apa kata kita move to Islamic age of maturity?
Oh wow. Takutnya.
Takut. So basically dalam Islam dia punya standard of being matured is bila kita balik. So for girls, it's probably like 9, 10, 11 years old. And boys, 12, 13. Right. Macam, for me personally, I think I was, at that age, I was being thrown into being mature at such a young age. Betul, ayah cakap like, okay, umur ni, kena start dah solat. Macam tu lah. So, what do you think of this? Islamic maturity? Or balik?
Islamic.
Or Islamic adulthood?
Islamic adulthood, okay. But just for me to clarify the question, my opinion on Islamic adulthood ke? You're looking for my opinion?
Your take based on your experience, maybe.
Okay. All right. So, balik this is quite a big topic. Okay. I will try not to comment in terms of Islamic jurisprudence because it is not my, memang bukan my bidang. Tadi I told you guys my bidang is mechanical.
True.
But in terms of like hitting puberty, I think it will be unfair to narrow down puberty in Islam as on the when like, okay, for it's quite clear lah in Islam kalau you perempuan ada menses, that some you get your menstrual, this is when you reach your
true
balihan. And then for guys, when you have the wet dream. So if we narrow down that definition to only that, I think it would be quite unfair. Because of course you ada responsibilities that come with it, but maturity actually balik is macam ni kalau okay, if you try to study like in the Quran, dia ada banyak tempat lah dalam Quran in which we talk about balik to balaghah. So I will take maybe a few Islamic I mean Quran punya ayat yang cakap pasal balik ni, and I think yang interesting for me is the two ayat in which we talk about orphans, right?
Okay.
So okay, boleh
Boleh.
in the Quran, okay, in the Quran surah An-Nisa ayat 6. I'll read the translation maybe. You nak baca? Okay, I baca translation. Test the competence of the orphans until they reach a marriageable age. So marriageable age, balaghun nikah. So you ada satu. Bila sampai ke umur yang boleh kahwin. So itu satu. And then the other verse would be in surah Al-An'am, ayat 152. In which we talk about the wealth of the orphans, and the translation is, and do not come near the wealth of the orphan unless intending to enhance it until they attain maturity. Yablugha ashuddah. So actually you have, even in the Quran, you have different types of maturity. And then again, macam recently kita ada program winter Arif Awesome kan. And then in one of the talk, Ustaz Kubaib, he talks about the golden age, in which the golden age is actually berapa agak-agak?
Tak tahu.
Okay, sorry. So the golden age, so the golden age is 40, Okay. So
I've heard that.
You've heard that. So
yes,
okay, so and the golden age of 40 ni is actually kita cakap juga about that in the Quran actually. So and then this is in the Quran, this is when we reach the intellectual maturity. So we have actually different phases, macam Shan cakap tadi. For me, kalau kita tengok balik kepada ayat-ayat dalam Quran ni lah, kan? So to really macam to narrow down it only to the puberty, macam when you hit puberty is, I think quite unfair. And of course you ada stuff like, okay, once you dah reach puberty, then you have to make sure you pray. And cumanya isu dia apa? Isu dia adalah how we are being brought up in the family. Kan? Kalau you are being brought up in a Islamic family, alhamdulillah, I think it will be easier for you lah, because macam memang ada parents yang ajar you kena sembahyang, for example, or you kena pakai tudung, which is good because that is kiranya tanggungjawab you lah. But the thing is, adakah orang ajar yang kenapa you kena buat benda tu?
Yeah, betul.
So this is the big question yang I think today disebabkan for various factors lah dalam masyarakat kita, and for various misconceptions. I think kita tidak betul-betul mengajar on why we need to do those stuff. Even if you were to ask me like years ago before I came to France, and this is actually a funny story because before I came to France, kalau you tanya kenapa you pakai tudung, kenapa you semayang, I think the answers that I'm going to give you is very surfacing answers. Yang mana kita jawab because kita dah
diajar macam
brainwash ke? Okay, you are not, bukan brain, okay lah, you diajar yang macam, you kena buat benda ni, you kena kan. Actually, for me, it's a brainwashing. If for me, my definition of brainwashing is that when you ajar orang and then you ikut tanpa you ada your own conviction.
Yes.
For me, that is brainwashing.
Like our answer would be the one that's been passed to us, not our own standing.
Yes. So you dah ada macam this specific narrative yang macam ni textbook answer. For me, if you give textbook answers, tak adalah nak kata textbook tu salah. Textbook tu betul lah kan. Cumanya in religion, I think you really need to find your own conviction on why you do stuff. Because if you don't have that conviction, macam you tak adalah that link kan, that link with God tu. When religion is something as simple as your link with God sebenarnya. And so of course you have a lot of intellectual things yang you boleh belajar pasal your religion, but if you do it without the understanding on why you do it, then it lose the purpose lah. It lose the meaning.
True.
So I think this is macam the missing piece in our society. So the funny story is that I found this missing piece when I come to France. Macam I'm not saying whatever yang my parents ajar. I think I'm very blessed and I'm very thankful that I already have the basics. And but to give the meaning to my basics, it's something that I found when I come to France lah actually. Sebab apa? Okay, why? Because bila kita datang France, and kita start macam
kita nanti saya
bila kita datang France, kita start to I was actually very scared when I come to France. I'm scared of sebab kita tahu dia bukan negara Islam kan.
Betul.
And then kita tahu yang kita dah already hear stories like actually susah lah kalau you pakai tudung kat France.
Betul.
I even come to Yes. I even come to a time where I changed the way I wear my headdress. Right before fly tu, I tukar cara pakai tudung.
Like turban like ke?
Dia macam yelah kita jadi macam pakai selendang lah kan.
Okay.
Instead of my normal macam my go to style is actually tudung bawal, so senang kan. But I changed tu because rasa macam kalau macam nampak modern, orang macam lagi terima kot, faham ke?
Betul.
That is my thinking at that time. So macam kita rasa macam nak fit into that society. Without mengorbankan my principle, but at the same time macam yelah kita rasa nak fit in lah macam tu kan. So then so bila kita
speaking my soul.
Ya ke?
The feeling of wanting to be accepted kan.
Yes.
Like you don't want to be look differently lah from others.
Yeah, I think that thing is very common to everyone. Semua orang nak rasa accepted.
Betul
lah. And then macam you all have your own fears lah. The only difference is whether you talk about it or not. Betul lah. But I think itulah macam itulah. So rasa risau. So bila dah sampai sini, I was introduced to Islamic circle lah, Usrah. So I joined the Usrah. It is not as straightforward as I joined the Usrah because I memang actually lari pun apa semua kan. But then finally kita join, and then this is when I learned about I really learned about my religion lah. Yang out of the textbook punya konteks.
True.
So yang macam yang giving meaning to religion, giving meaning to macam apa, kenapa you kena buat benda ni, apa your purpose of life, and kenapa you why are you even created, why are you even here, and so all this stuff kita tidak belajar waktu kita dekat Malaysia, even though we are being brought up in an Islamic punya environment. So dia jadi so I think if we are able to macam mana to give this perspective kan dekat Malaysia, I think it will be better lah. So macam dia jadi macam instead of you kena pakai tudung kan, ataupun you kena tutup aurat, you kena buat ni, you kena buat tu, you explain to people why they are doing it in the first place. Kan? And you nak explain tu bukannya you explain kenapa you kena pakai tudung, tapi kenapa you diciptakan pun in the first place, so that when they understand kan why you are a Muslim kan, yang Muslim yang M kecil tu, Muslim yang membuat benda, bukannya Muslim yang M just on name. Then you will nampak lah, you akan macam have good conviction lah kan of your faith tu.
Okay, I think that's a very good point lah, sebab even when we were small pun we were taught that even if you want somebody to convert to Islam kan, you don't terus suruh dia okay you pergi ambil air wuduk. No, like we provide him with shelter, protection, food, and then slowly kita ajar dia like the meaning of life semua, and then slowly baru masuk, so that kita punya hati akan slowly terbuka. And then like from listening to you and Kak Emi, like we were so inspired. like
on every episode inspired.
Okay, but Kak Emi kan, I wonder if you have regrets ke apa ke, when like some things you thought maybe you could have done better and so macam if you can go back to your 20-year-old self, and what kind of advice would you have given to your own self?
It's okay. This is actually not the first time I heard this question. So the thing is, yes, a few months back, actually Muna, Mira dengan Putri asked me the exact same question. I hope you guys have them in your guest list. So kena cari topik dengan diorang. So they asked me this question. Diorang tanya, Kak Emi, kalau you go back to your 20-year-old self, what would you tell Ken? And then at that time, my immediate response is nothing. I have dia macam I think it's macam for me, I don't have any regrets on my decisions, on my whatever lah that has been happening to me so far. Macam I tak ada regrets. Macam tak adalah nak cakap tak ada regrets langsung. But I wouldn't say I will take that route not taken. Tak, even if I to reminisce back. So macam okay, I've seen this very interesting film. It's a British film that is called About Time. So I don't know if you guys know.
Oh my god. Yes.
Dia macam okay, so basically this guy kan, I don't want to spoil because maybe ada orang nak tengok lepas ni kan. So basically this guy kan dia boleh time travel lah.
Yes.
So macam he decides to use it to find love. Kan? So macam in the course of his journey tu macam ada a few things lah yang dia dapat ubah. So if I were to have the same power, even if I do it, it will be more on me trying to improve myself lah. So kalau macam betul-betul yang I nak kata, okay Emilia, you should have done better, is maybe in this area. So macam ni kiranya because I've had this question like a few months back, I macam fikir lama jugalah. So sebenarnya apa benda yang kau nak buat better kan if you were to go back maybe I will one, I will try to memorize more things because memang rasa lah macam now that I'm 30, your ability to memorize things dah lain. I think maybe yeah.
You're scaring me, Kak Amy.
So train your brain to memorize now, and macam I think my ability to memorize macam dah berkurang lah berbanding dengan waktu kita muda-muda dulu kan. And of course berkurang berbanding waktu kita childhood dulu kan, macam otak kita sponge kan, macam pick up of things. So that is one thing. And then I will try to consume as much as knowledge, structured knowledge as possible lah.
True.
Sebab kita akan macam masa kita muda kan kita tak serius. I think even
lagi.
even yes, exactly. So this is the thing, macam bila I fikir macam betul lah bila aku pergi balik to that age, will I really do all this stuff? I rasa takkan buat pun, faham tak? Sebab tu I rasa macam tak payahlah, tak ada regrets pun.
Betul.
Because I think if I were to macam sekarang ni tiba-tiba jadi macam membership lah satu batch kan, I will still do the same thing, which is macam procrastinate, malas, and bila nak kena hafal, tak payah hafal lah, esok lah kan. Bila orang tanya, so bila nak berubah ni? So macam I will always kan macam put stuff after that. But that is not good lah. I think for you guys have a long journey. So macam kita ada 10 years gap. 10 years is a lot. There's a lot of things that you guys can achieve better than me if you're really to betul-betul maximize lah. And so take that opportunity, even though I know if I were to tell this to myself, I wouldn't do it. But I have more faith in you girls, so take the opportunity to do good lah.
Thank you for having faith in us, Kak.
Yeah, betul. I really because I think Kina and I pun macam dah tengok banyak juga time travel movies, and the thing we've learned so like the Call Korean. Have you watched the Call?
Dah. Kalau orang kot ni Ciba dengan Aina, bukan aku.
Personally, kita banyak lah time travel movies kan. Always taught us yang you do not change anything. Like it's gonna change. It's gonna have a bad consequences lah. So it's about not having regrets sebenarnya in life. Because if you change, it's gonna change yourself too. So
betul.
Okay. So I want to end this podcast sadly.
Already?
But yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah. But I hope we'll have more time together soon lah. So I always follow Noman Ali Khan dekat YouTube kan. I think he's quite famous juga. And he have this quote tau. Again, ending with quotes. Cakap, you can't just pretend that the things you watch and the things you hear and the places you go will not have an impact on your character. They will. So adulting ni is a delicate process, like we've discussed so far. And,
that's true.
It's the first phase for everything, for love, happiness, sadness, tragedy, loss, kan. So eventually these things will sum up. Yang Amy cakap, it's gonna have a impact on your life later on, and so tak sedar pun, tapi that's the thing about adulthood kan, Kina.
Betul. Dia macam adulthood ni, I don't know, for me it's very hard. I don't know. Sometimes rasa macam it can get a little bit too much. And I think it for me lah, I don't know. Right now, I think we should be okay. It should be okay like to take a step back. Pergi main tank dekat depan plush macam kita orang buat hari tu. And then redraw from adulting for a moment.
Dia what overwhelming tu in emotional sense ke, or
emotional sense. Rasa macam oh my god, kena bayar rent, kena pergi assurance maladi untuk siap lagi, benda-benda macam tu lah.
So okay, this is okay. So earlier I talked about the two different aspects, right? Psychological and legal aspect. So I think yang selalu susah tu actually the psychological aspect.
Yes, exactly.
Because this is actually about emotional regulation. So your ability to be flexible to adapt to changes and so whenever you have like major changes like starting a new job or like ending a relationship or
Tu yang penting ya.
tackling processes like you said and macam assurance maradi blah 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 it's actually not easy lah macam you cakap. Cumanya so how do you build that emotional fortitude?
Betul?
And the only way is for you to understand and know how you work lah internally and that is only when you can macam regulate your own emotions. So this is actually a very interesting topic and a very big topic, and I think I'm very passionate about this because I think it works differently for different people. Some people can cope pressure better, other kan berbanding dengan yang lain-lain kan. So and I only want the good for people that I know. Of course, mesti kita nak macam alah tak naklah dia breakdown kan for such small for things yang kita rasa macam boleh je kan.
Betul.
So itulah.
Okay, so basically message dia untuk fellow listeners, jangan give up dengan assurance maladi tu. Okay. And Kak Am, kita orang just nak bagi tahu a huge thank you for coming to our 4th episode today.
And a huge thank you from me for having me. Yeah.
And that is the end of our podcast. Assalamualaikum and goodbye.
Take care, my fellow listeners.